Great. You want to do a countdown?
3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, I'm ready.
All
Let's do
right,
it.
and so we are into game number 2 of Mountain versus Team Cloud. Last match we saw not only Value doing a fantastic job of positioning on that Tristana, but also the rest of Team Mountain having fantastic objective control to put them in a very strong position. But with these bans rolling through very quickly here, we've got Tarek and Azir already banned away for Team Mountain, and likewise on the opposing side, very similar bans to set number 1. Cloud taking away the Callista and the Ornn reflexively.
Okay, so from what I'm seeing here is that it's almost kind of like, once again, like you said, the same bands on either side. So the reason why we're seeing these bands on the red side is because they're really good first picks. So Ornn, you can't really counter Ornn right now just because he has his whole entire kit is just absolutely amazing. So he's got CC, stopping potential as well. He has his Q. But then you also see the Jarvan, which prevents that flex pick. But then even the Callista, you can first pick the Callista because it's really hard to counter her. But the one pick it leaves up is Sejuani. She's top tier jungle right now, even though it's not tank meta. And she's just a really good pick.
Fantastic by them, but look at that! You didn't ban the duo of either Xayah or Rakan, and
Wow.
fantastic move, my Team Cloud, getting the dynamic duo and really getting that strong bottom lane set up for them.
And we saw that last time because I believe the blue side they banned the Rakan, so they Team Mountain didn't pick the Xayah, but now since it's up, once again, it's just an amazing duo just because them together, it strengthens each other up. So Rakan, he gets that extra range so they can just, I guess, slip and slide out of fights. They can also, if Ashe is in the mid lane playing Xayah and Rakan wants to come in from a flank, he can do that, but with his extra range, and that's also very unexpected. But then the rest of these picks, we see the Tristana Alistar to counter that, and that's also really good because once again, Value, he played the Tristana in the last game. He played it almost absolutely perfectly. I think very, very perfectly. But as well, Winter, I believe he played the Alistar. So if it's not broke, don't fix it. You play the exact same thing as you did last time. But then finishing off the draft, we have the Gragas. And Gragas, he's still a really, really good jungler right now. He provides a lot of utilities for his team as well as a lot of early game pressure that you can put on that champion. So very nice picks on both sides, but we got some bans.
Yeah, definitely true. You see that Team Mountain banning away Linsanity's Malzahar that was played last game. Really a menace for locking up the front line. So didn't want to see that one yet again. Cho'Gath going to be the next ban alongside that. And then thinning out some of that top lane dominance, two of the best player or characters you can take up there, Gnar and Shen off the board.
Yeah, so Malzahar, like we saw in the last game, Insanity, he kind of played a good game on it, but it was still enough to take away off the board because it was just really annoying to face against. As well, Cho'Gath, you don't want to put that into the top lane, or you don't want to face against that in the top lane because of how, I guess, just tanky and how much damage he does do in the later parts of the game. On the other side, you have the Shen. It's not really that surprising because in a competitive environment, you're all in comms. So if one member gets low after Shen gets 6, then you can just say, hey, Shen ult me. Perfect. It's absolutely perfect that you can use that onto that carry. But as well, you have the Gnar, and he just does wonders against these tanky or even bruiser champions. So all around a perfect pick. It wasn't picked last game, and it's not going to be picked this game.
Not going to come up quite yet. Rise picked up by Team Cloud. Over on Team Mountain, they're going to get the front line on their Maokai to go with that Sejuani. And then in the mid lane, a Blaze Olive moving away from that Orianna. Instead, going to pick up Cassiopeia. A lot of damage potential on that champion.
Yeah, so Cassiopeia and Maokai, really, really nice last pick here in this draft because Maokai, he does absolutely amazing in the top lane if you play him correctly. We saw Rodolph play it last game. He had his success on it, so he's going to play it once again. Maokai just gets so tanky towards the later parts of the game, and once he does get the Righteous Glory, then he can really run at the enemy team and start to do just a crazy amount of engage. He has a crazy amount of engage potential, as well as Cassiopeia. She doesn't have to buy boots, so she saves a little bit of gold on that department. So she can really start to prioritize her main core items, which she really does need to do in the mid game in order for her to spike. But on the other side, I believe we saw it was Renekton and Rise. So a little bit of a change up here in this game. Linsanity going to be playing his signature rise. So what this is going to do is it's going to allow him to farm even better. But then towards the mid parts of the game, he's going to start to stun up certain carries. League, he also played a really good Renekton game last game. So if he can kind of just fix up the mistakes that he made towards the later parts of the game, then he can really start to show on this champion.
Yeah, not only that, but the rise pick in the mid lane means that if you are behind on that rotation to that objective, you can clean up and shore up that movement time that you need with the Realm Warp there as well. So Linsanity having this rise means that he may allow his team a way to respond to these objectives a little bit quickly, or more quickly than they normally would. So we'll see how he decides to use it here, because that's one of the things I like seeing on these rise plays is when the ultimate on rise gets used to take away something faster than the enemy is expecting, and thus netting your team an advantage.
Right, and also in a competitive environment, when you do use, I believe you were talking about the Realm Warp, but once you really do use it to its biggest potential, that's when it really starts to show, even in objectives. So if let's just say your whole entire team, they go towards one side of the map, it almost kind of has the puppet effect, right, where if you go on one part of the map, the other team is going to go there as well. But if you can really start to rotate and get into the enemy's mind, that's when a huge play can come up, whether that's Infernal Drag or Elder Dragon, or whether that's Baron going into the 35-minute mark. We're gonna have to see how it's actually used, but I think it's going to be used as a team all together, and it's really going to do wonders.
Yep. Once again, early stages of the game here. These guys are posting up with a 5-point start, making sure that the jungle is nice and defended. Once again, not wanting to give any vision control up to the enemy team. That being said, looks like both junglers are going to be starting here on this top side of the map. Really, once again, trying to put the pressure down on this bottom side. But the last game, we saw a lot of pressure put by Fnatic on this top lane, trying to set Rodov behind. And in the end of the game, it didn't really end up mattering because that Maokai tank scaling came rolling through. Now it's going to be Nintendo looking like he's going to be playing to the strong side of the map, getting that heavy leash from his bottom lane, and then moving over to that top side, this time to maybe try to protect Rodov a little bit more.
And the only reason why it didn't work, I think you touched on it a little bit, is just because he became a tank. The only reason why that strat actually works when you're playing someone like Renekton is to get the Renekton rolling. That part worked, where Renekton was becoming this beast of a champion, but then he didn't play it correctly in the last maybe 2 team fights, where he really just died, and it just wasn't good overall for him. So that strat could have worked the whole entire, just I guess, camping the Maokai, but it got to the point where Maokai just kind of just naturally outscaled the Renekton, which is he's going to be doing in this game. But it's really all up to the Renekton, if he does get a kill, to really play off of it and really just lane bully the Maokai.
Very true. We see Fnatic taking a little bit more farm approach to the jungle, actually just picking up that chicken camp and then going on towards the blue buff. Once again, playing to this bottom side of the map, but with his lane pushed in so much here with the Xayah and the Rakan, once again, so difficult to contest that early push that comes out of Xayah's, the Xayah's feathers. They're just pushed under turret. Mid lane, though, a Blaze Olive going so aggressive on Linsanity. He actually heals at the end of it. Yeah. And then leveled up as well, just trying to keep his health bar high here as much as he possibly can. And Nintendo off to the side, seeing if he can't find an angle on the gang. But Fnatic doing the same thing as well, trying to find the window in. The snare comes through, but Linsanity is forced to move away. Flash out by a Blaze Olive and the cleanse as well. Really just panicking for his life and trying to get away from the situation. A Blaze Olive throwing down that aggression in the early game, but it's going to be Team Cloud who responds with the proper gank and gets the summoner spells.
Seeing games like this is absolutely just so much fun, just because both junglers, they know exactly where to be at certain points in the game. Once again, Gragas' aggression coming towards the bot lane. Winter might be getting caught out.
Yep, knock up from Iron Pirate onto Winter. Gets the stun on his auto attack there, but not going to throw it out, knowing that if he completed that animation, he might actually risk his life there. Flash not available for Fnatic, but there's definitely enough damage there between Ashe and the jungler to take him out if he hesitates at all. So Winter able to hold on to both of his summoner spells there, despite the ignite getting burned on Iron Pirate. But he gets a little bit of a scare there.
Yeah, just a little bit of a very nice aggression coming out from the Xayah and Rakan duo. But at the end of the day, it was only enough to, I guess, just scare them, really. No real sums have been burned. But Fnatic really showing a lot of aggression here in between these lanes throughout the early parts of the game. He went into the mid lane. He got a really nice flash as well as a cleanse coming out from the Cassiopeia, but then he goes right down into the bot lane to try and see if he can do anything else. Then once he notices that he can't, he goes right on back into the jungle. So really redeeming the last game that he did play on Jarvan was kind of just suboptimal, but now he's really showing this aggression on Gragas.
Putting up some good movement around the map. Looks like he's going for the warding totem, or the warding jungling item. Both junglers doing that as well, just wanting to maintain vision control across the map. Something that you always like to have in these competitive games. Not something you always see in solo queue, but you definitely would appreciate. But regardless, 5 minutes into the game here, we've got only a 200 gold lead for Team Cloud, which is good news for them because they need whatever advantage that they can get, because once it becomes mid-game, we've seen it already. Team Mountain knows how to move around to these objectives very well. Insanity in the mid lane. And look at that movement speed. Wow. Riot, hello? But either way, down in the bottom lane, Winter going aggressive again against the likes of Iron Pyrite and Ashe. Off in the brush, which is warded. We've got Nintendo seeing if he can't get in for a little bit of a gank, but no hard committal coming out of Team Cloud. They know that he's there, and they're not going to risk their lives to get that support kill.
That was absolutely beautiful from Linsanity. I was thinking about how exactly is Ryze that good of a champion if he doesn't do a whole lot of damage, but now I see it. It's because what you really do on Ryze is you go in for a little bit of damage, and it does a lot, but now you get an opportunity like this.
Flash forward from League, trying to find that kill. First blood going to be picked up by Linsanity, thanks to that stun coming out of Renekton. League making the rotation down to the bottom side, sacrificing just a few minions of his wave up at the top to make that play occurred. Bottom lane, though, Winter and Value find themselves some money here. Ashe stepping a little bit too far forward, gets comboed by Alistar and knocked over by the damage of Value.
Yeah, that was really nice engage by Value and Winter. So already we're seeing the duo pay off.
Oh my goodness, again, jump forward. Can they find the last hit? Can't quite find it as the brush denies the vision there for Iron Pyrite. So got to be careful in this lane because Winter's showing, hey, I'm ready to get some kill. I've come to play. So if you're not coming to play, you're going to have a hard time in this lane.
And see, the thing is that you could say that Value could have flashed or even healed to get some extra movement speed in order to try and get that kill, but you had no idea who was in that bush. Ryze went back to base, so he could have potentially been there. Even the Gragas that was all around this whole entire map could have been in that bush with Iron Pyrite just sitting there. So a really nice call by Value not to go for anything too big. He goes back to base, he gets his BF sword. Now he can go into lane with just extra little bit of movement speed that he did get from that assist. And that in the mid lane, more action.
Stun goes down onto the mid laner here. Look at the amount of CC that's getting thrown down on Linsanity. He cannot move his champion. That privilege has been taken away from him. Stun now landing onto League as we try to get a little bit of save coming in from Iron Pyrite, but he's just too late here. This is going to be a very difficult situation for the mid lane of Cloud because look at the engage potential that's available on Team Mountain. They can come in from across the world and pick up kills.
And this is beautiful because you could just see the amount of pressure that Team Mountain is putting. Not only is there pressure in the mid lane, but there's a huge amount of pressure going into the top lane because of Tristana. And then after that mid lane play, after Maokai rotated into the mid lane, he's now in the bot lane. And already there's already that lane swap that I guess Team Mountain is just doing here in this game. And Value about to get the first tower of the game. Really nice by him. Already getting an easy 2K goal lead for his own team.
A big win for Team Mountain here. Not only that mid lane kill, but like you said, that top lane outer first brick turret, making sure that the gold lead stands in the favor of Team Mountain here. Ocean Drake going to be the first one for this match, which is very beneficial for the likes of the tanks in this match. The benefit really going to Rodov, who's able to get back both that health and some mana from it. So you might be seeing Team Mountain playing around that a little bit more than you would normally see, especially since he's facing against a very aggressive laner like Renekton. But once again, it's up to these players to see how they really want to treat this map and what they want to prioritize. Either way, after that first turret goes down, Value heading down to the bottom lane, really wanting to push that lane in and put the pressure back on that bot lane outer turret.
Yeah, and why it's so good that he got the top lane tower is now it relieves some of the pressure that was being put onto Maokai. Renekton was pushing him in this lane, just pushing the wave and then kind of playing just a little bit more passive, but now Maokai, he can just sit back and farm without any worry of getting any sort of tower. Now his main job here is to TP when needed and just farm up and try and get tanky. That's his main job. As well, he can also rotate, like he did earlier to get a kill onto the Rise. But now Team Mountain's just trying to set up for this dragon. But Rise using his ultimate as well as Rakan.
Yeah, Rakan running in with the quickness, gets the knock up there on Nintendo, but not any good charm to pull him back into the rest of the team. Winter kind of left behind there, but he's got too much tankiness. Ultimate from Nintendo whiffs here. He needs to find a way out. They just throw down the Ignite, flash forward on Fnatic's going to be the one to pick up that kill there. Value still continually throwing down shots. Headbutt pulverized lands on the Ashe. The ultimate not going to do enough to actually keep him alive here as the last couple of shots come through. It's not going to be enough damage to actually pick up the kill on Ashe as Value steps forward. Flash over the wall over in the river on Linsanity trying to get out of the fight, but he's actually locking up the likes of a Blaze Olive. He's going to pick up the kill with the Twin Fangs, and now he's trying to follow in onto the rest of the back line of the Team Cloud roster. Iron Pyrite trapped under the turret. No life left in him as they just dive underneath and take him out. They net themselves the bot lane outer turret that they're looking for the entire time. League up in the top lane trying to trade 1-for-1 on these structures.
I love how the camera just pans to the top lane just to see League being down.
Yeah, he's like, I got no TP. There's no
I don't have TP. Yeah. So it was really nice timing by Rodolph to actually TP in there. He didn't TP immediately because what happened there is that League shoved in the wave so that if Rodolph did TP, then the TP would have been canceled by the Renekton. But what happened there is that Rodolph, he cleared the wave, sat way back behind the tower, and then TP'd just so that Lee couldn't have, I guess, either just stop the TP or even just tank the certain amount of towers to get the TP in. He didn't really think it was worth it just to tank the amount of shots, so he just stayed in the top lane. He almost got the tier 1 tower, but didn't get it in time just because the pressure was up there to shove him off of that tower. But a really, really nice play by Team Mountain. They were all in sync with their play. Value really showing that he is a good, I guess, just player overall as well. A Blaze Olive did play a supportive role in the last game on the Orianna, just sitting back and just casting his ultimate basically whenever possible, whenever the opportunity did arise. But now he's really playing the role as a carry. He's using the Petrifying Gaze. He's flashing into the enemy team just to get that extra lead and try and just spam his abilities in order to try and get some of these kills, and it's really working in the bottom.
Bottom lane 1v1 against these 80 carriers. Mountain getting the rocket jump execution kill there. Really jumping in to get that money.
So on Tristana, she has a lot more burst damage than than Xayah. Just basically because on Tristana you get off your damage instantly and it just goes off. But on Xayah, what you really need to rely on is your feather placement, and if you can get an E in certain areas, then it can be a whole lot of damage. But what happened there is that Ashe used her E, or Xayah used the E, and it just didn't do any damage to Value. But Linsan,
what is this a dive? What's happening?
Do you want a good time, man?
Yeah. All right. Well, not the best rotation I've ever seen in my life. As a result, Team Mountain trying to get some pressure down on this turret. The quickness locked up there by the slowness of the Miasma. Ultimate thrown through by Sejuani, but they're not in the mix. They know that they're going to lose this fight if they're not careful. A Blaze Olive gets taken down immediately as Team Cloud capitalizes on that aggressive positioning of the Cassiopeia, and now they're in a position to try to get some damage down on this turret. They still do have some engage potential as Winter goes in trying to lock people up as he sees fit, buying time for his team to clear out the minion wave. Value getting some shots on those minions to clear them out, but it's still, they've got Rodolph in the back line. Are they going to be looking for an aggressive engage there? Health bars are quite questionable for Team Cloud. And here it is. It looks like Rodolph going in a little bit aggressively against Fnatic, just trying to deter him from moving back towards the middle of the map. But it looks like this play is just going to dissolve. These guys are going to go back to base and try to refuel and get ready for the next play.
It's really cool because now we're starting to see how Team Cloud is really just getting desperate here in this 13-minute mark, because if they don't stop the snowballing of Team Mountain, then it's really just going to go out of control. So Team Cloud just trying to do whatever they can in order to try and make a play, and you saw that from Linsanity. He wanted to go into the top lane, and he's like, okay, we have to go now or else everything's just going to just explode. So that sort of led into a misplay from what we did see. But then off of that, they're like, all right, there's a little bit of a misplay. Let's try and do something else. Let's go into the mid lane. Let's use all of our flashes. Let's allow Iron Pirate to get into the fight. Whoever he charms onto, let's go onto that one target so that we can try and get some sort of pick. Not unfortunate. It was a Blaze Olive, and he did end up dying. But now in the top lane, Value may be getting caught up, and he just has Rocket Jump.
Yep, saves the rocket jump and just gets himself out of that situation there. Righteous Glory finished up on Rodov, so the engages from Maokai are online here. A little bit of damage getting thrown down onto Fnatic as he escapes over the Raptor wall into his own jungle. The quickness popped up in the top lane. Good Buster shot to keep himself away from that charm. Jumps away, buffers it, but he's not going to stay alive. No, he stays up with just a little bit of health. He looks back saying, you know what, maybe I can get some shots in. Maybe I can get a little bit of damage and net my team a kill, but he's not going to find it in the mid lane. A Blaze Olive once again caught up by this massive CC wave coming through by Team Cloud. Rodov going to try to walk away towards his turret. Throws down the Q to generate a shield for himself, thanks to those masteries. And this is looking like it is before the rune changes, I believe, as Courage of the Colossus is not a new rune. So, yeah, they are still on the old rune and mastery system.
Are they?
Yeah, they are.
Oh, so it's not Triumph. It was a Dangerous Game.
Yeah, it's just Dangerous Game.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ooh, good ultimate coming out of Sejuani here on the top side, and they pick up the kill on Iron Pirate.
We're just like, yeah. Oh. Yeah, that was cool. That was a really nice pick onto Iron Pirate. What they do now is they transition that, and they say, all right, now we need to start getting objectives with some of these picks, and they look for a certain objective to get. They're looking towards the mid lane, but they see that Xayah is in the mid lane, just trying to clear out these waves as fast as possible, and you can't really... I guess out clear a Xayah if she is defending. You can't like hit a tower just because Xayah is just so crazily good at defending certain towers. So what they did there was they rotated then over to the Rift Herald. So now they can use this in the mid lane to try and take down this tower because it's the last tier 1 tower. And if you get this one, then all you got to deal with is the next tier 2. So really nice opportunities arising for Team Mountain, and they really are capitalizing on them, just like this one in the bot lane.
Yeah, bottom lane. And look at the aggression coming out of here from a Blaze Olive. The heal actually burned there by Linsanity, trying to keep his top laner alive. A little bit of CC coming down. Instant cleanse coming out of a Blaze Olive as well, and he's focusing his damage target as well. Linsanity in a little bit of trouble here as he's looking for a 2v1 after a 1v1. Popping off here on the bottom side of the map. But Blaze Olive says, do not look away from me. I am also here at the scouting grounds trying to get picked up by a team.
Yeah.
Do not try to take away my spotlight.
Yeah, and what this shows is kind of off topic from the game itself, but what this shows is that this player is really good at just transitioning between playstyles, because he played someone like Orianna that played a very defensive game of Orianna, but now he's playing Cassiopeia, which is the complete opposite, because I guess you can play defensive on Cassio, but if given the opportunity, you can play very, very aggressive, and this is exactly what he's doing here in this game. He's going into the bot lane, he's basically 1v3ing, and he's doing a whole lot of damage along with that, but now it looks like Team Mountain could be getting a pick.
Yep, over in the jungle here, look at how, actually the Sejuani ultimate goes wide. That could mean a very different team fight than Team Mountain is expecting. Gragas ultimate to split up the squad here. Blast Cone out for League to get over the wall there, but Intendude X struggling to make contact with these Sejuani ultimates at this stage in the game. Really changed the dynamic of that fight.
Yeah, that was a really nice, I guess, just overall engaged by both teams, because we saw that Mountain kind of got caught out just a little bit around that red buff, but then once they disengaged and really just peeled for the carries, that's when both teams just kind of backed off, and even I believe it was Iron Pirate just got out with not sliver of HP, but kind of like half HP, just a little bit of HP left, but now Rodolph may be getting caught out in the top lane.
They're going to chase him down. He says, help!
Yeah.
Help, team! I'm being ganked!
I'm a tank!
They're ganking me! Hey! Help me! As it goes back in and slaps Iron Pirate across the face. Typical tank things, friends. You gank the tank, you're gonna get spanked. That's just how it goes, man.
I was thinking of rhymes, and I was like, I can't think of one, and then you found one.
Yeah, that's
so this is why you're the play-by-play. I'm just the analyst guy. Hey, what are some facts? Here's the fact. All right.
All right, so Team Mountain once again trying to throw down the subjective playstyle that they have shown us in game number 1, putting the pressure down on the bottom side of the map as their top side is handled by Maokai. Realm Warp thrown down, which causes the enemy to step back, but Team Mountain realizes no one comes through. Winter getting a little bit overzealous here. The quickness gets popped down, and he actually gets a little bit stunned up by the Cassiopeia ultimate, not able to get in with that Rakan charm. Fnatic trying to find the slow, disconnect on the Blaze Olive. He gets rooted up. He just turns around and gives his life away, knowing that if he keeps running, he might put the rest of his team in danger. Rodolph has rotated to the center of the map, looking for some damage on the turret, but he realizes after 2 auto attacks that each one of those auto attacks only does 65 damage to the turret, and it has about 3k life left, so he walks away.
Yes, he's not going to be getting any tower anytime soon. It was a nice, I guess, thought. Now he's just distracting a couple of people, but now you see that Cloud, they got that a couple of picks there in the bot lane. Now they're starting to fully rotate from the bot side to the top side. They really want this Baron, and I think they might get it. But Rodolph's right there. Let's see what he can do.
Yeah, he goes in first. The 20 ultimate connects there onto Ashe. A lot of that damage being mitigated here because of that stun. Renekton caught in the middle of everyone. Jump forward by Value. He knows that all the key cooldowns are down. Triple kill for Value so far. He's looking for a quadrant, but Iron Pyrite is too far away. He is dashing away. Value says, give me the penta. But he's not going to find it here as the quickness from Rakan is just too quick. He moves over the wall and gets out.
Yeah, Value definitely showing us that he can play Tristana to the maximum potential. He's really positioning well in a couple of these fights, and he's doing it with ease. He can basically just sit back. He just kites a little bit, spaces very nicely, and then he finally starts to pop off. He gets a quadra kill, and now he's getting even more. He wants to get this tier 2 in the top lane while the rest of his team just gets the Baron, and then now he gets to go back to base with 6 kills underneath his belt and just get basically whatever he wants, as well as a red buff. Can't really go wrong with that.
Yeah, man. Value once again at the helm of the Team Mountain dominance here in this mid-game section. We saw it last match. On the final fight, he was in the right positioning, which happened to be over the wall, not dealing any damage, just because it was a cluster in there with everyone throwing their abilities out and whatnot. But he comes through at the right moments and gets the damage down when and where it is needed. Does it yet again and is rewarded with a full rapid fire cannon after that team fight as a result. And like you said, a red buff to boot.
Exactly. So now he can get into these fights with extra range as well as extra attack speed, and he can really start dealing a lot of damage. Even though he was doing a lot of damage in the last fight, you can put it out even faster. So a quadra kill could have potentially turned into a penta, but now we're going to start to see a lot more towers being taken by Tristana, and it's going to be really hard to keep up that with that if you are Team Cloud.
Yep. Looks like a little bit of aggression getting thrown down here. Nintendo bounced into the team. He flashes over the wall, just making sure that he gets out of that situation. Once again, Team Cloud defending their turret as best they can here, making sure that they get these minion waves cleared up. There's a lot of damage that Value has available to him, though. Look at the 3-item spike that he's on, and look at the armor that's available on the rest of the squad on the other team. There is just not anyone who can eat a couple of shots out of this Tristana right now. Realm Warp being channeled. He actually ends up in the middle of the lane here. Linsanity looking for the kill. They find a Blaze Olive very early on. Winter coming in. He finds the headbutt pulverized to actually help take out Ashe. Value off to the side. He has not had any pressure on him yet. Blasts away Linsanity, says, get off me. And he keeps through in the fight. Linsanity trying to find a target to actually take down in this team fight. Will not find anyone in time as Rodolph takes down Iron Pyrite. Now he's caught up in a storm of knockbacks and stuns and knockups and knockaway. There's just nothing that he can do as he gets battered like he's going through a drive-through car wash.
And the reason why that was just such a good fight on Value's part, I know we're talking a lot about this guy, but he's honestly the center of most of these team fights on Team Mountain. The reason why it was almost kind of okay that he died there was because he already did his job. He already killed, I believe it was Fnatic and Ashe, and then off of that, he got Linsanity very low by pushing him back. League was already very low as well from Value, just basically trying to do as much damage before he died as possible. And Iron Pyrite, I believe he died as well. So overall, he was allowed to die, and then just allowed Nintendo, Rodolph, and Winter to finish off the remains of Linsanity as well as League.
Very true. The Blazed Olive moving towards the mid lane here after that push was successful. Trying to figure out what is the next move going to be for Team Mountain, but I tell you what, Team Mountain already knows they want a little bit of move speed as they pick up that air drake down on the bottom side of the map. Nintendude and Value, the takers of that objective. Now this game, they need to make sure that they don't take their foot off the gas here. We talked about it early on in game number 1. What does Mountain need to be looking for here to make sure that they continue this pressure? Realm Warp. Wow. Wait, that took me by surprise. I did not see this coming.
Yeah.
But anyway, Value gets the kill onto League early on in the fight. A Blaze Olive falling down as well to the likes of Fnatic. A very...
it was desperate, and it was also just miscommunication. Because what Linsanity did there is he launched his ultimate, and then stood in it for a little bit, and then stepped out of it, and then League stepped into it. So League was kind of found in the middle of 3 members, and then Linsanity was like, wait, I'm sorry. He tries to run into the fight. He couldn't in time. League just died instantly, and Ash tried to follow up, but couldn't. So at the end of that fight, it's really just like, it's tilting. It really is, because you're in a game like this where it's such a stomp that it's just really hard to kind of gain your grip. And now you're starting to get really desperate because 21-9, and it's like, all right, we got to try something. We can't just get shoved into our face. But in some situations, that might be the better idea. Just get shoved in, use what you have in order to clear the wave, and then with that, then you can maybe start to get a little bit of a lead because you have a gold income with the minions coming in. But instead, they just used basically a key ultimate in order to kill 3 of your members. Right, so.
Yeah, kind of a disastrous situation there for Team Cloud. Linsanity having a hard time finding his place in this match so far. He's been doing all right in these team fights despite getting CC'd and knocked away, and really having a hard time finding the target that he's really looking for thanks to this immense front line that Team Mountain is running with probably 3 of the biggest characters in the game. You got Maokai, Alistar, and Sejuani. It's like, how do you get past that and get to this Tristana? It's just not going to occur. So he's doing the best he can, but he's definitely having a rough time of it.
Yeah, and behind the 3 tanks, you have basically probably the best scaling ADC if you get a couple of kills on them. And then you also have the Cassiopeia, a huge lane bully in the mid lane. And if you really allow Cassiopeia to pop off, the zoning potential on this champion is immense. And we saw that a lot in the mid lane. There were certain situations where Ryze was just not allowed to move. And you even mentioned that when Maokai ganked. But now Iron Pirate.
Yeah, Iron Pirate going in aggressively here. Knockup connects, but the stun has already been thrown down onto Linsanity. Good double knockup on the headbutt pulverized from Alistar here in this fight. And look at this clustering. The DPS of Team Mountain can't quite get in just yet, but it doesn't matter. Rodolph in the middle is living for so long. He's going to walk his way out of this one slowly. Can they keep him up? They almost do. Headbutt pulverized once again goes through from Winter, but where's Value? Where's the money maker? He actually jumps a little bit too far into the enemy team, or in the enemy base. No, wait.
They're in the game.
Yeah, they're just in the game. Never mind. They say Linsanity. It's been fun, bud, but yeah, we got to move on. We got to get out of here.
That was a really nice fight played by Team Mountain, because I was talking earlier just about zoning potential coming out of the Cassiopeia, and right when the miasma went down from Cassiopeia, they tried to disengage by getting the Maokai out of there, but that was right when Team Cloud, basically all of the members, stepped over the miasma. And then they just weren't allowed to do anything after that, because finally Winter went in, knocked 3 of them up, and then just hell broke loose. That was it.
Yeah, well played once again.
Yep.
Hold on, I'm trying to get back to this page before the next video auto starts. Well played once again by Team Mountain. They really love to play that objective-based game play style, which is exactly what you want to see for people looking to go into the LCS. You have to have that mentality of, I see what's here now, but what's next after that? What's the next step? Right. And seeing them control the Rift Herald so well early on really suggests that they know what their next steps to be successful are going to be. And I don't know who
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is that a follow? My favorite.
Right. Right. Yeah, and you basically just look at right at drafting phase, just how I guess in sync these guys are. You have the three main tanks to pair up with their carries. You have Rodov in the top lane. You don't need to worry about him at all. Nintendo X in the jungle, he played a pretty decent Rek'Sai game, but then now you look at his Sejuani play, and he's playing the role perfectly. He's doing exactly what he needs to do with the engages, with his ultimate and the Q flashes. But then he's also staying beside his carries, which leads me into my next point, where you need a big tank to stay beside someone like Cassiopeia so that she can pop off like we saw in that last fight where she finally flashed into the base to get a double kill. But then even value, it's like you can pair him up with the Maokai, but Maokai's in the front line, so better yet, just pair him up with another tank like Alistar who can stay beside value the whole entire time, but as well just engage for the whole entire team. So this comp really, really played together perfectly. But then even talking about the other side, they had a nice comp, but they didn't do the exact things that they needed to do in order to finally get their carries ahead. Linsanity, he had a pretty good laning phase, but then there was really no pressure put onto him. There was really no, I guess, jungle pressure in the mid lane in the early game, but we didn't see League really rotate. He almost kind of played that solo carry style game without getting much pressure from Fnatic, because even though Fnatic in the last game tried to put pressure up there, it wasn't enough to carry the game. So Fnatic finally thought, where exactly can I go now in order to get somebody ahead so that they can carry the game? The answer was nobody, because Nintendo was just a lot faster at doing that.
Yeah, rotation speed definitely important for these guys, and I thought it was interesting that Team Cloud went for that double Renekton pick on both of their matches. Once you go
Yeah.
for that pick, it really suggests that hey, you need to get ahead in the early game if you want this to be an effective selection for your team. It just couldn't happen for these guys. They couldn't put together the advantage that they were looking for, and a lot of it came from Team Mountain avoidance. We saw earlier in the game value rotating up to the tops of the map, just taking away the top lane outer turret while they swapped their top laner to the bottom side of the map, and kind of just dodging out of that Renekton situation altogether. And that sort of play calling is exactly what you need to see when you've got the enemy threats in your face, when you've got someone on the enemy team that you need to be worried about. And like I said, man, that cohesion and that shot calling is very impressive here coming out of Team Mountain. So really looking to the rest of their games. But how about we step into the next set?
That's it, dude. Let me check real quick. Hold on. Maybe my mic's cutting out. Is my mic cutting out?